Hello everyone, Chef Eric here and welcome back to my channel for yet another video. And today we're going to be making a super simple, easy Monday dinner, like a super quick, easy dinner. We're going to be making my orange, soy and ginger chicken. So for this recipe, we're going to start out with some chicken thighs. Here I decided to go with thighs. This is because they cook really well and they give you the best result. So just want to start by cutting some slits into the chicken on both sides, on the right side and on the bottom, so that this marinade can seep into the chicken and give you a really good result. So once you've done that, you're just gonna pop your chicken thighs into a bowl or a container, whatever you're gonna marinate these in, and you can start to marinate. So starting by going in some ginger and some garlic, some salt, some black pepper, some thyme, some orange juice, which is really important, some soy sauce, some red wine vinegar, and a couple of other seasonings just to bring this together. And it's a really great marinade, and you could add this to any type of meat and it just works amazing. You could just even marinate this 2, 3, 4 days, even a couple of days in advance, and leave it in your fridge and cook it whenever you like. So with this chicken, you're gonna be serving it with some lioness potatoes. So you're gonna start with some potatoes which are peeled and ready to go. It took me like 20 minutes. There's no way I was gonna start filming that. So once I had my potatoes peeled and washed, I said to slice them into some lioness potato shapes. Also, now make sure you don't get them too thin or too thick. They should kind of look like medallions, or just kind of that thickness. Just around that thickness, usually the best size for lioness potatoes. Not too thin, not too thick, because if you get them too thin, they tend to break down when you're mixing it with the other ingredients, which are like onions and dania. And if they're too thick, now it'll have difficulty cooking all the way through, and it is not something we want to do. We want to make sure it's a more nice and homogeneous taste in your mouth. So once you have those all ready to go, we can start to add them and start to cook them. First, we're gonna fry up these lioness potatoes before we do anything else to them. You could bake them if you'd like, but baking them gets them a bit too crispy for my liking. So the best way usually is to fry. So in a large frying pan, just wanna add in your lioness potatoes. You wanna cook them for about 5 to 6 minutes, just until they are fully cooked through. And generally, when it comes to frying, you do 2 fries. The first time to cook them through, the second time to get them crispy. But for this recipe, I recommend you just do 1 fry just to cook them through. We don't need them crispy at all. You just want them nice, soft, kinda crunchy. They should have some strength or some stability to them, but not too crispy. That's when the problem starts to come in. So once your potatoes are all nice and cooked up and ready to go, you can fish them out of the oil, and you can now add all the other ingredients. So in a large pot, you're gonna make some caramelized onions. So you wanna add in a couple of onions which are thinly sliced, and you wanna cook them. And when I say cook them, I mean cook them. It's gonna take around like 10 to 15 minutes just to get these onions just where you want them. I went for it's more of a golden brown caramelized onion sort of thing, which is the best result. These are sweet, like one of them kind of sweet to compromise with the potatoes, which gives it a nice element to adding in the chicken. So once you have your onions nice and seasoned and cooked really well, you can start to season them. So go in with some salt and some black pepper and give everything a really good mix. This is just to season the onions. You will need to season this again when you add in your potatoes, because the potatoes do not have any seasonings. I recommend once you fish them out of the oil, it would be dangerous, but if you can add a bit of salt to them, just make sure they don't fully break down. So once your onions are nice and ready, add in your potatoes and then add in some chopped dania. It gives it a nice fresh flavor to go with everything else. And if you can add in some paprika. Some paprika is really good, especially with fried potatoes, and it goes really well with meat. So add in a bit of extra salt, black pepper, paprika to season the potatoes themselves, and give everything a really good mix until everything is fully mixed together. We don't want anything to cook. Like the potatoes are done, the onions are done, the dania is just a final element just to bring everything together. So once you're done with your beautiful potatoes and they're ready to go, cover them with a lid, and we can now head on over to working on our chicken. So for the chicken, start with some oil in a pan, and then you want to add in your chicken. Take your chicken out. I marinated mine for about 4 to 5 hours. You could do it overnight or as long as you'd like. Now you want to add in your chicken, skin side down. If you just saw that flame there, those are the dangers of the kitchen, and you must be very careful. So drain off that marinade that you have, just shake it off the excess, and then place it inside the pot skin side down so it can get a really nice crispy base on our chicken. You want to cook these for about 5 to 6 minutes, just until they develop a beautiful crust. And the best way to know if it's done is if the chicken is easy to flip. If the chicken is really not allowing itself to flip, just know it's not done and give it a bit more time. That's the best way to tell if protein is done cooking. And to get a beautiful golden brown color on there, I mean, it's crucial and it gives you the best results. And also it helps retain some of that flavor in the chicken, so that when we are kinda cooking it or boiling it in a way, it doesn't like lose all the beautiful work we put into it. So that's how the chicken looks like, stunning, beautiful, delicious, especially with that glossy nini going on. And then you can add in some water and the remaining marinade that you have in the marinating container, and you want to cover that up and let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes on medium heat. Just let it boil, and once the chicken is done, you want to take it off. You want to take the lid off and then mix some of that sauce with a bit of cornstarch just to thicken everything up. But if yours is looking thick enough, you don't have to. Now you can plate this up, stuffed with a base of delicious potatoes, and then go over with your chicken. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you give this recipe a try, and if you do, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see your creations.